And welcome to Spillin Sweet Tea. I'm your host, Morgan Robinson, and we are excited to start pouring out all the good that's happening around us and remind us that we're all a little bit more connected than we think. Today we have an amazing guest, one of my favorite people, Ric Cavender. Ric wears so many hats in the community, and I'm sure that you've had an interaction with him at one point or the other, hopefully positive for your sake.
I hope.
Because
I can't guarantee.
I was going to say, one of his roles is president of the Board of Education for Kanawha County Schools. So all of those snow days that we talk about, I'm sure you get to hear a lot about that.
Probably the best example for today would be the snow days.
The snow days, yes. Yes. He's also the executive director of Charleston Urban Works, which I know you've seen before, popping up in so many districts in Charleston, now in Kanawha City, which is very exciting, and responsible for a lot of bad decisions I've made at events like October West, Hallow East, foam, all of those fun things. So we're going to be talking to Ric about all of those things and more, including rebuilding his life from literally the ground up. So lots to talk about today. Pour yourself a cup of whatever you're enjoying. We've got coffee and green tea today, so we're a little away from the hot tea, but we'll get back on track later. And we're going to dive right into the conversation. Ric, what is bringing you joy?
Oh man, you know, it's when I was kind of going over some of these questions, and I was thinking about the concept of joy and happiness and positivity, right? Because we all want to wake up every day feeling positive. Mm-hmm. And sometimes
some days it's easier, some days it's not.
Especially when you work with the public, when you with public-facing positions, you're well aware. And you know, I would say right now for me, just the concept of clarity. And I know that's a really broad.
No, I like that though.
Really broad statement, but I would say, especially over the past 3 years, you know, and of course, you know, making sure to stay very active therapy and being very open when talking to close friends and family, you know, the concept of being able to wake up every single day and try your hardest to just focus on all the things in your life that are going right.
Yes.
And I think that piece comes through clarity. Mm-hmm. And when you face troubles, tribulations, all the things they say, it can be really hard to focus on those things. And also when you inadvertently surround yourself with people who may not be as positive, who are maybe going through some hard times in their life and they're being a little negative. Of course, you know, I'm an empath. Mm-hmm. I absorb everyone, their feelings or emotions when I'm around them. And you know, I've had to work really hard to not focus on that. Right?
It's tough. And you are sort of who you surround yourself with. And that energy is very contagious. Mm-hmm. And it will rub off on you, good, bad, indifferent. Mm-hmm. But I love that clarity. And Sam and I talked about that a little bit. Clarity and intention. When you know what your true intentions are, what your priorities and your focus are, and you can align your time, your talent, your passion with those intentions, what a different life you're leading.
Oh yeah, and it's interesting. It's almost like leading two different lives.
Yeah.
Right. You know, almost being two different people. Mm-hmm. And when that clarity comes to you, and you realize, wait a second, I've been given the privilege of walking around on this earth, and in my case, the privilege to serve in these roles I serve in, which I every day am thankful for. I should be making sure I'm focusing on all the positive things that come from that. And of course, you know, I've been in this role, in this career for a while now, and that's taken time, a lot of lessons learned, but I think it's really important. I'll also say, the other thing that's really bringing me joy today is the fact that I made the decision to wear a long sleeve shirt and not a short sleeve shirt like Chris Gossett did. Because my arms are not there yet.
Oh my gosh, Gossett.
I was like, okay, Chris.
I'm telling you, the people that slid into our DMs to talk about like his like chest and shoulders, I was like, should I have touched them more? I don't know.
Good for you, Chris. Yeah. That's all I'll say.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's hard to follow. He's a hard actor. You should have never been my first guest.
Aren't I the second male, I guess, that you've had since?
Yes. No. Coach Kidd.
Coach Kidd came on, that's right. Sorry, Coach.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yep, we have Coach.
More to compare to, not that I'm comparing, but Chris, come on.
Yep. Well, we did our Women of Achievement series, so the ladies took over
that's
for
right.
a good 5
As they
weeks.
should.
Which I know, they rule the world, honestly.
Yes.
So we had amazing ladies, but yes, we've had Coach Kidd, we've got you, and we actually, so to digress a little bit.
Yeah.
One of your favorite people will be joining me soon.
Who?
Adam Stallings.
Of course.
I had lunch
the rock
with
star
him,
himself.
and I was like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about sweets? Are we talking about Chapmanville, we talking about basketball. He's like all of the above.
And how I helped shape his career.
Oh yes, you're a mentor.
No.
I love that.
He did it all on his own. He's great.
Amazing. So yeah, so we have a conversation lined up with him.
Good.
So more
That's
to
perfect.
Come. Yeah.
Good.
I know this is like so self-serving for me because
Yeah,
I just
it's
get
all
to
your-
hang out
it's all
with
your
all my
people.
people.
Right?
I know.
No,
I
I love
have been able to meet a few people, but yes,
Yeah.
it's been great to just dive in a little bit further. So over the past year, lots happened with you. Like you
Yeah.
said, the past 3 years have been really sort of revolutionary. Is there a moment that's moved you that's really stood out?
Yeah. So, and this is going to sound kind of odd, but I promise I'll get to the purpose. As you know, for the last couple years in my new home, I've thrown this really big holiday party, right? And I originally did it as frankly a thank you to the community, to all the people, and we'll get into that here in a little bit, but to all the folks that I view as not only close friends, family, people that I love, people that I want to surround myself with, but also colleagues of mine, people in the community who stepped up in some way that I just wanted to find a blanket way to say thank you, right?
Yeah.
That's why, and before that, honestly, I really didn't. The only reason the holidays were ever fun to me, if I'm being honest, was because of my kids.
Yeah.
That you feel that joy, I think, through your kids when it comes to Christmas time. For the long time, I just didn't have that joy until the kids, and then now this has given me this new reason to really enjoy that time. And the other reason that I decided to throw this party was, for me, the holiday season has really become like a culmination of the year, right? Where you take that time. I take a couple weeks off work, right? Like I completely sort of eject myself and take that time to really think about the positive things that have happened throughout the year, the challenges,
Yep.
how I can continue to better react to the more negative things. And celebrate where I am in life. And so, of course, having, a lot of people jam-packed into my house for this big holiday celebration, excuse me, really, I think it just sort of brought that, for me, that moment. It was that one moment, and I was in the corner of my kitchen talking to Ty Bullock, actually, and his fiancee Molly, and he said, Rick, he's like, look at all these people that love you. And of course I said, well, Ty, there is an open bar. Right? Like,
I mean,
come on. But I mean, jokingly, of course, I mean, in one way or another, these are folks who I know, whether on sort of on the ancillary, I don't know them that well, but they know we've worked together in some way, closer friends, people that I love the most, family, all sort of there celebrating with me. I think that would probably, that culmination, I think, is definitely.
And that's very similar to Chris Goss's. His sort of moment was the Urbanite Awards.
I know, and I love that you guys talked about that.
It was such a great moment, and to be there and be part of that as well. Like, it was so beautiful. And what I gathered from that is that everyone deserves that moment, right? How can we make that happen for the people that we love the most, to just be in a room and be surrounded by that energy and that love and acceptance? Like, people crave it.
That's one thing. If talking about things that bring you joy, I think that is one thing that I've always really loved, is to like help plan. Well, I mean, you were on the committee to help to select the Urbanites. We had those conversations about like who would make the most sense for these categories, and I do really get a lot of happiness when watching those people have their moment on stage. Knowing why they're getting this award, right, and exposing them to so many people who may not have ever heard of them or their business or whatever. That's always really been awesome for me. I'm sure some people just assume when I'm an elected official that I want all the attention, yada yada yada. I don't ever. I'm actually much more. I get so much more joy out of watching those folks do that.
The Dancing Dog Twins this year.
I know.
If you haven't been to Dancing, honestly, I think that they captured everyone's heart in that room.
I'm standing on the stage and Mayor Goodwin's beside me, and she's like, oh my God, I didn't know I was going to get emotional with this. Like, and I'm like, and of course I find myself getting emotional. A couple times I did throughout the evening. But certainly that moment, because and of course they deserved it more than anyone else. And
So
it was just
wonderful.
So great.
So wonderful. And I do feel like they've seen more. I mean, it's like the ripple effects, because people start talking after that. They're like, oh my gosh, these guys are amazing. We need to go check them out. Or I haven't been there in a while. I love that so much. And I love being part of that committee, because this year we were like, oh, well, we already have everybody for next year too. And we know that people are going to be doing amazing things over the course of the next 365 days.
What a great privilege I think it is, an asset, that we have that many people in this community, that we can, that we have a list for next year pretty much of folks that are doing this incredible work.
work. Yeah. And so wonderful that the other cities like South Charleston, my great friend Kathleen said, I want to replicate that event because we also have great people doing great work.
Oh,
and in a world that is so heavy and that we are getting so much bad news and people are truly looking for the differences between one another and trying to pick out the failures or the challenges that we're not meeting. What an amazing event to shine a light on everything that's good.
I think that's why I've just always loved my work, the line of work we do, and the work that I have the privilege of doing, is that, and of course, we stay up with current events. We know what's happening worldwide. We know what's happening statewide. And again, going back to that clarity thing, how do we focus on the things that we can do to change those things, or at least to keep our minds clear, to not focus on those negative things? And for me, being able to be in this line of work for as long as I have and just focus on those positive things, how we move things forward, is frankly probably what's like saved my mental health.
Yeah. We are both very lucky to have the jobs that we do.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to like share those amazing stories, help to solve challenges and be a problem solver instead of a problem. I mean, sometimes I'm the problem. Like, let's be real. No, I'm not going to deny that. But yeah, I mean,
we can all be the problem.
Yeah, we can all be the
depending
problem.
Depending on the night and where we are. No, I get it.
Yes.
That's all we'll say.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we need. Did I? No.
Yeah.
Best advice you've received?
You know, this is one piece of advice that I got. I think it's been about 14 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I've been in this line of work I just celebrated 18 years. On March the 10th, I celebrated 18 years.
You're only 25. How?
Right? Yeah. I was like 10 when I started
I know.
working.
Yeah. Gosh.
Labor laws didn't apply to me.
Didn't apply.
Yeah. So, which it is. It's hard to believe I've been in this role in one capacity or another for 18 years now. But this was, I say, 13, 14 years ago. It was a previous administration. Our organization was in the middle of, I can't remember if it was a project or like some advocacy work we were doing, maybe to change some local ordinance or something. And I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was in a conversation with someone who worked in the administration at the time, the prior administration, who worked really closely with us and was at that time very fresh. I let a lot of stuff affect me personally that was happening at work.
Yep.
I was in that stage of my career. I think we were all there when we were younger.
Absolutely.
Where we took, if we cared and we were passionate about what we were doing, it was hard not to take it personally, right? Yeah. And I remember sort of lamenting the fact that I was having to deal with this certain amount of criticism over this thing. And this person said to me, Rick, don't give them any stones. And I said, what do you mean? Like, explain.
Yeah.
And I believe it was either, it was out of some historical text, maybe the Bible, but it might have been some other historical text. The lesson was, anytime you're dealing with something like that and you give a person or an entity or whoever the opportunity through some negative action you've made, through something maybe bad you've said, maybe something negative you've done, some mistake you've made throughout that process, anytime you do that, you give them a stone that they can then put in their pouch and throw back at you.
When the
right?
time,
And that, is, again, 13, 14 years ago, and to this day has resonated with me.
Yeah.
Again, going back to that whole kind of concept of clarity, I believe that applying that mentality when you're dealing with anything can help you find more clarity. Because if you're the one who's just working hard, keeping your head down, right? Doing what you're supposed to do, not getting, in sort of tied up in the muck, if you will, staying course, which is not always the easiest thing to do.
No, it's
that.
very difficult. Yeah.
And I will admit, over time, I've done it a few times, and it never results in a positive thing,
always,
right?
It always comes back.
But if you can do that, you're not going to give anyone stones that they can throw back. And I have probably on 3 or 4 occasions even given my sons that advice.
Yeah.
Especially my older son, who's almost hard to believe a senior in high school next year, right?
I don't like this.
He's dealt with things with friends or maybe a coach or whatever, bad day at practice or whatever, and I say just don't give them stones.
Yep.
Keep your head down, right? Yep. So that's been
It's all in how you react to situations, and you can throw your own stones that evening when you get home.
That's right.
In the moment, yeah. What a great! I'm such a visual person, so I love a metaphor like that you can literally, physically see your words turning into
an object you could pelt back at someone.
Yes.
Right.
Oh gosh. What are you unapologetically passionate about?
Oh, I think it depends on the time of life, the time of year, what you're experiencing at that particular time. I think right now for me, I'm definitely passionate about sustaining really important relationships with people, whether it's personal, professional. For me, I always try to look at the foundational aspect of something, right? We can go higher up and talk about the more kind of fun, quote unquote, sexy things that happen up here, right? That are shiny. I've been really passionate at the baseline of working really hard to sustain really positive relationships with people, no matter how close they are to me, no matter how far away they are from me. Whether it's family, whatever, just doing what I can to sustain those relationships, because as you go on in life and you experience certain things, you realize how quickly things can be taken.
Yes.
And what do you do to make sure that you're not responsible for, or you're not participating in that happening again, right? So I think that, to me, that concept right now I'm really focused on. As you can tell, I've been doing a lot of self-reflection, a lot of work in therapy, all those things you got to do to become a better person.
To become a better person.
And a better worker and a better colleague and all that. And so I think that right now that's probably it.
It's about nurture.
Yeah.
You have to nurture those relationships. And yes, I think distance, one of our best friends just, moved a couple years ago. And we found that now that we're intentional, because we're all busy working professionals, some of us have families, but now that we're intentional with scheduling that time, we're actually getting more condensed quality time with her. And we were all in Nashville together a few weeks ago, and we had that conversation. We're like, how interesting is that sometimes those miles can cause things to collapse, but sometimes those miles actually bring you closer together because you value. And we've realized that when we do have that time together, we're not just gossiping or talking about we're really sharing life experiences. We're making core memories. We're, and then when something comes up and shit hits the fan, we are just a phone call away. And I got a text from her the other day, and she said, I need a sanity check. Are you available at 8 p.m. tonight? Yep. So we schedule that time. We know that that's our priority. We make it focused and intentional, as we talked about. And it gives you that clarity on who you are, what you mean to that person, and how you're supporting each other. And I think as we become older and friendships are harder to make and harder to keep, you do want to nurture that, and you do really respect and value those connections.
The work that's associated with it, when you're younger, I don't think you realize how much, if you care, how much work really is associated with that. But there's a lot of work that comes with that. And really at the end of the day, it comes down to there's work that is easy to do, and there's work that's hard to do. Usually work that's hard to do is sometimes work you don't want to do, right? The work that's still arduous, that still takes time, that's easier to do, you can find excitement and happiness along the way as you're doing it, right? I think there's always work associated with it.
There's always work associated. And, our kids are getting ready to graduate from college, and I know Kylie's already talking, which is wild, Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. Kylie's already talking about, my friend is going here, my friend is going there, one friend's going to Alaska. I mean, spreading out. And she said, watching the way that y'all navigate these relationships has made me realize what I need to do to keep those. And I was like, they're always watching, guys. I don't care if they're, 2 or 22. They're always watching.
I don't know about you. We were raised, regardless of who raised us, we were raised by boomers, right? Our generation was raised by the baby boomer generation, and that generation, their sort of daily operations were so different, I think, than we elder millennials. I hate to use that term, elder zennials, whatever. Millennial. I don't know what to call us. I feel like a grandpa when I say elder millennial, but I guess that's what we are.
That's what we are.
Much different in that, my parents did not really ever hang around a lot of friends.
Same,
right?
Yeah.
Like they didn't have a friend group per se. They had associates and maybe folks they went to church with, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they really didn't ever have like a set time that they went to hang out with a whole group of friends like that. I feel like so many people in our generation, most people in our generation, and I think probably based on the experiences we had growing up and everything we had to experience just on a national level, right? I think our generation's experienced more than
so many unprecedented times,
right? and some of that, I think, amongst other things, has shaped how the importance we put on our friendships.
Yes.
That usually, and I know that your group definitely feels this way. They're chosen family. They are your family.
Yes, 100%.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that now your kids are seeing that,
Yeah.
and that's such an example for them. So I'll be interested to see what that does to like the Gen Zers.
Oh yeah.
Right, the younger Gen Zers.
younger
Well, they're
Gen
probably
Zers.
whatever middle Gen Z, whatever they call them now. But anyway, that next generation, like, what is that? What impact?
Yeah.
Is that going to have on
Growing
them,
up
right?
and having all of that, because I mean the kids are like, those are my aunties and uncles.
Yeah.
You know, they see them as their family too. And you know, we're talking about making schedules for graduation, and I'm like, well, we have to find somewhere that hosts like 12 people, because we have, you know, all of our family, meaning all of our friends, are all coming for that whole weekend. You know, we want to be there to, you know, go through Morgantown with you. We want to go to graduation and go to brunch and do all these things. And so, you know, it does change things, and I'm so interested to see. And even with Gen A, watching their parents have that, does that mean that they're like, this is just expected? Like, I just need to find my people.
If they can get their head out of the computer
my
game or
gosh.
iPad long enough, right?
Right.
I think that's what,
I
at least, I
know.
mean, you know,
iPad
my youngest
kids.
is, but no, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
How will that, because I think so much of what shapes us, not all, but certainly a portion of what shapes us is what we were exposed to as when we were, especially I would say that like teenage,
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
the
early
really
teenage.
formative, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it was always so important for me to, for my kids to see all the people in my life that loved me and loved them.
Love them. Yeah.
And so it's so great. I love that they view all of your group as this family.
Yeah.
Which I think is so important.
Yeah. And, you know, our friends, to their credit, have cultivated that as well. I mean, they're the ones that
Sure.
are texting them on their
They've done the work,
birthdays.
right?
They put the work in.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
also put the work in. So it's not just they're seeing us all together. It's that, you know, we've got Jen texting and saying, I saw this and thought of you. What size do you wear? You know, I mean, that happens all the time. Or like Jen and Kylie wear the same size shoes. Like, hey, I'm getting rid of these before I donate them. Do you want X, Y, and Z? And all these conversations take place without me having any idea.
You have no
that they're
idea. You
happening.
found out 2 weeks
I
later.
find out when I'm like, oh, those are cute shoes. And she's like, oh, yeah, they're Jen's.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, that's like how I find out. And the same for, you know, their friends, which is really cute. They have a really close friend, Brock, and he texted all of them, like Kylie, Colin, Kylie's boyfriend, Damon, on my birthday and said, make sure you wish Morgan a happy birthday. Like, so cute. And that's like their friend, you know, he's gone on vacation with us, but like, you know, Captain in there, making sure everybody's got their stuff together. So I just, it's so lovely that there's that type of consideration no matter what age you are based on the relationship that you
But
have.
again, I think, I mean, you guys have done such a great job of setting that example and showing that.
I hope so.
And I think that that's probably what our generation, a lot of folks in our generation who have kids or they're guardian of some child, whatever the case may be, whatever the situation is, I think that that's going to be a really prevalent sort of concept.
Yeah.
And that's going to shape that generation in such a different way than how we were shaped.
Yeah.
Right? Which it's exciting to me. I
It
love
is exciting. I hope, sort of to wrap that up, I hope that at the end of the day, it just means that no one ever feels alone.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
that's the ultimate
You have
goal,
someone.
is that you have someone.
Yes.
You have someone to turn to, someone to celebrate you, someone to navigate challenges with, whether it's a parent, a guardian, a friend, an auntie, whatever. That's what I hope comes from it, because when we're alone and vulnerable, that's when the real terror happens.
That's right. That's right.
So we're big music fans, both of us. If your life had a soundtrack, it's tough. This is like my hardest question, but what song would be playing?
Well, first of all, I have such. Anytime anyone asks me a question, and they're like, "Give me one example," I'm like, "There's no way."
We always,
There's no way I'm gonna
like,
do
Ben
that.
and I'll be like listening, and they're like, oh my God, yeah, this isn't my top 10. My top 10 is 500 songs.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Right.
I don't.
There's no way. I think, and I try, and as you probably noticed, a lot of these questions, I'm trying to sort of extract things that are happening now or like at a time period. I mean, I definitely think one is Leon Bridges' River.
Oh, so good.
I mean, he's great no matter what.
Yes, he can do
Right?
no wrong.
But there's this whole sort of like, I'm carrying a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm moving forward with purpose.
Yeah.
That the sort of the overall theme of that song, and that song stuck with me for the past 15 years.
Oh,
And
it's so
certainly
good.
over the past few, that's been one. And then another, and this may be because it's when he was much younger. Silas, my oldest, was one of his favorite Avett Brothers songs. But Head Full of Doubt, Road Full of Promise.
Yes. Good choices.
And I think that, to me, that's like the uncertainty and hope sort of riding in the same car, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's certainly where I am now. Ton of hope, ton of clarity, but there's uncertainty that I've learned to navigate better than I think ever in my life before. So I would probably say that.
And I think especially as your kids get older, the uncertainty becomes greater, but the hope also grows with it. So it is like a balancing act, because you have less and less control, and all you can do is hope that you've like put them on the right path with the right skills and the right, mindset, and know that they're going to screw up, and remember that you did too.
That's right.
And that's like the part for me. I'm like, yes, I am perfect. No.
Right.
We all know this. Yeah. But when you want your kids to, just have everything and not have to go through any of those challenges, but knowing that you've equipped them to face them, that's
And making sure that they see your imperfections and your screw ups.
No.
Right?
No. I don't like that.
No.
Ben's like laughing at me right now.
How can I tell them what to do if they think I'm imperfect?
Exactly. I need my bar to be here. Like,
right.
No, but yes, like seeing them, I think something that I didn't really see a lot from my parents was how to navigate grief. And, I think that's one thing that we've definitely talked to the kids about, and they've unfortunately experienced it, personally and with family and things like that. But that is one of those moments that you just hope that the conversations that you've had help them to navigate that really deep, dark, terrifying experience.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to pop into some questions that are a little bit more personal now.
Yeah.
So you've shared that personal experiences they really force you to rebuild your life physically, emotionally from the ground up. How did that chapter shape the way that you show up today as a leader, as a father, as a friend? I think we've talked about it a little bit with nurturing those relationships, but tell us about that chapter and sort of where it's brought you.
Yeah, I would say, as you know, in May of, we're coming up on 3 years, May of 23, experienced something that I don't wish on my worst enemy, and certainly never thought I would experience, and had a total loss of our home, and through a house fire. And, number one, the trauma associated with that when it's happening is something that you have to unwind, I think, for several years, frankly. The ensuing months are very intense for different reasons that we could have a whole podcast about, I think, right?
Yeah.
But, and everybody's experience is different. And considering how everyone's experience is different when they go through something so traumatizing, and they have to literally wake up the next morning and figure out what they're going to do to rebuild, both emotionally and physically rebuild, or whatever the case may be. You realize that folks realize that you have an opportunity to look at it one or two ways. You can either say, okay, I want to hit the ground running immediately. I have to lock in, as the kids say, and tackle it head on and figure out how I'm going to navigate this. Or you can bury your head in the sand and take way too much time to get things figured out, and things in some cases can even get worse. Of course, I chose road A on that.
Lock it in.
But while I was doing that, the boys and I, we had such, and I know you remember this, we had such unbelievable support and love that came from this entire community that at the time I couldn't talk about it without getting upset, without getting emotional.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that came out, contributed to that GoFundMe and made things so much more manageable, so much more quickly for us. But it wasn't just that. It was also just the number of people who texted and emailed and called me and just reached out and said, whatever you need. I had colleagues that I hadn't talked to in maybe 6-7 years who donated a mattress to me when I got in the new house, things like that. That list goes on so long that there's no way we don't have the time. That entire experience, that entire encapsulated experience that went on for a while, and got us to the point that we could get to a place where we could buy a new house, get in that house, and start literally from the ground up rebuilding, buying. I walked out of that situation with my car and the clothes I had on my my body.
It was a full loss. Complete loss.
And I, without question, know that if it weren't for the outpouring of support and the love that I felt, this huge hug that was wrapped around the boys and I during that time, there's no way I'd be where I am right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think you have to take time. I think anybody who goes through that and then they experience that type of support and love, they have to take time and learn, do what they can to learn lessons from it. And I've spent the last 3 years learning lessons from that.
Yeah.
Right? Learning lessons from it, taking the most positive experiences I can from it, learning from my colleagues, my mentors, everyone who helped throughout that time. And it has completely reshaped how I look at life now.
Yeah.
Completely reshaped how I look at it. Going back again to this clarity concept, I didn't have a lot of that before.
Right.
It was harder for me. I had to really, really, really work hard to stay focused all the time on the positive and keep my head forward. And that experience, and I could go on for days about how that experience has changed me and how I look at life, the outlook on life, what I want for my future, all that. How the concept of just like not caring what people think anymore is so relieving. It's just not caring anymore. Like I could go on for days, but to sort of encapsulate it, what it's done for the boys and I as a family, certainly. Huge learning lesson for all of us. I hope that they always see the support that the community had for us. And I know they will. But for me, as a father, and then also a community leader, organizer, all the things we talk about, I'll never be able to repay all those folks who did so much for me. And what that's done for me as I live my life every day and do my work every day has completely shifted in such a positive way.
Yeah. I think, we never want to experience loss, whether it's loss of a home, loss of a family member, loss of a loved one. We never want to experience loss, but there is nothing that teaches you more about yourself and the life that you want to live than experiencing that loss. And so many times we do, in the aftermath, lock in to get the work done, and then having that time that you just sort of retreat into yourself to think about it, it comes.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's in that moment immediately or if it's a year down the road or 2 years down the road, it comes to you. And really being able to embrace that and, like you said, take it and be positive with it, to learn from it, and to realize what pieces of yourself you need to shift to make the most of that sort of loss and that grief and that emptiness. I think that's really the division between so many people, because so many people let it consume you and then others let it empower you, where you really understand more about the life you want to live.
That's right. And again, I do, even though it was a tragic, traumatizing experience, as it would be for anyone, I do count us very lucky in that we did have that support, and it allowed us to much easier get to that point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, you've said you like scrappy, self-made people, which scrappy is one of my favorite words ever. Scrappy Doo is one of my favorites. That's who I would go as for Halloween.
Right.
What does that mindset mean to you, and how do you see that reflected in the people in your life, that you've attracted, and really Charleston in general?
I would say, you and I both grew up in Appalachia, right? I've been here my whole life. Had such a privilege of being able to work with small business owners for the last 18 years, hearing countless stories, helping them in whatever capacity we as an organization can, providing that extra little oomph, if you will, of promotion, business assistance, advancement, all the things we do as an organization. And 18 years worth of these stories and these interactions and these relationships that I've built with them and that we've built with them. The resounding theme has always been almost all of these folks started these businesses and followed their passion with hardly anything. Yeah. Right. None of them are millionaires.
Right. Yeah.
And they do it not only as a means to make a living, but I would say 98% of them, if maybe 100%, they do it because they have a passion for that particular thing they're doing, that business they're running. They started it for a reason, right? I could talk to Vanu Menon, who owns Me a Cup of Coffee, and have a whole sit down about why he was passionate about starting a coffee shop. Yeah. And then I could also sit down with a nonprofit director or someone who started a nonprofit. And I think about Jennifer Wagner, right?
Gosh, yes.
and she was actually involved with our organization when she started that nonprofit. And we had a conversation about it one day, and this has been years ago. She may not even remember this conversation. Why she wanted to start that nonprofit, the passion she had for that. Was inspiring for me, but also just showed me that so many of us start from a place of zero and get to some really incredible place that impacts so many people around us. So that I've always been drawn to that scrappy mentality. Growing up in Appalachia, I think almost all of us are. Right? Yeah. And for me, it's just always been not only inspiring, not only motivating, but also I've used it as sort of a centerpiece of the work that I do every day. I mean, whether it was when I decided to run for Board of Education 10 years ago now, which is hard to believe, in 2016, that came from a place of a passion that I had for public education. I'm a huge proponent, always have been, for public education, also being a parent and wanting that seat around the table since my kids would be in the system, but also because I've always viewed the concept of public education and the people who have come out of the public school system and what the accomplishments they've had and the influence and the impact that they've had. We could tell stories for days.
For days.
So I will always be passionate about public education. That is the reason I ran, and that's just another example of that sort of like bootstrapped scrappiness that I've always just sort of been in love with.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much. And yes, when you look at a small business owner, you're looking at someone who is sometimes not only has started from zero, but started from a negative in a lot of cases.
Oh, yeah.
And has faced challenges and met them head on, and probably with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, think about the developers that we've worked with over the years, and these folks who, I know I mentioned Ty Bullock earlier, and I know he won't have a problem with me sort of name dropping him, but he's one example of several who will look at a building, this old historic building that in some instances and in some cities will just be torn down. And say, I know we can save this building. I know what life can be breathed into it. What's the strategy? What are we going to do? And to watch that process, we just saw legal aid open.
That's what I was saying. I love scrappers helping scrappers.
Yeah.
Because that is like Ty looking at it and saying, I'm also a small business owner. I'm seeing this vision, and here's who it's going to assist. And we have legal aid, a nonprofit in the area that is also very scrappy and making sure that they can help as many people as possible.
That's right.
Like, it's just amazing. Scrappers get things done.
They do. That's where it starts. It's always been, I've always had so much passion for that, and I think that's why I've always loved my work, is that we get to work with these people every day.
You get to work with them every day.
So,
It is a gift.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of all the people we love, right now we're going to pour one out. So pour one out is when we take time to recognize someone either in your life, in the community, in the world, who is really doing great things and just needs to be recognized for it. So sharing appreciation, sharing gratitude. Who would you like to pour one out for?
Oh, you know what? I'm probably just right now in this moment, and we can get into the reasons why or not. Right now I'm going to say my kids. Yeah. I really just They're just things have happened over the last few weeks, and certainly I'm always learning something from them, my boys. But just here in the last few weeks, just some of the conversations we've had, and some of the passions that I'm now seeing that especially my oldest, who is again going to be a senior in high school soon, and is learning himself and realizing what he stands for and all that, has been really motivating for me and really inspiring for me. And I just that's the gratitude I think I have, is just being a father. Yes. Like, to me, that's that's ground zero for me.
So wonderful. Yeah. It is. It's great to watch your kids grow up and be really proud of the people they're becoming.
Right.
Yeah.
Every day.
I love
Every day.
All right, we're hitting a sip list now. So quick,
lightning round.
Easy questions. Tea, hot or iced?
Oh, always iced and unsweet.
Unsweet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
With a lemon.
Who are you?
Yeah, am I from the
Are you even from the South or Appalachia,
whatever? No. Yes, I am, but not in that way.
But not in that way. So unsweet with lemon. Okay.
I don't like sweet stuff in general, really.
I get it.
So,
okay. What are you reading or listening to right now?
So I have not started any new series. I will say I have recently went back. We've recently went back and started watching Scandal, the show Scandal.
Oh, what a good time.
And I had never watched it before. Yeah. And I love it.
Yeah.
Still haven't finished it.
Yeah.
But I will say my go-to background show that is on while I'm cleaning, while I'm working sometimes, while I'm just existing. Yeah. Or if I just want to fall asleep to something, is still to this day the show Veep on HBO.
Veep is it's so
good.
It is Julia Louis-Dreyfus is the queen.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's literally just a whole cast of just terrible human beings who are all trying to one up one another. Yes. And it is the funniest. It is the smartest humor to this day, I think, that's been on TV.
Agree. I love it. I think there was like a question asked at one point of some politicians. What is this life really like, West Wing or Veep? And people are like, Veep.
Veep. So many people have told me that. Literally.
Veep. Yeah.
Which, I mean, good, I guess. I'd rather have that comedy
Yeah.
and that humor in my life surrounding me every day.
Every time I want to feel like better, though, I do watch The West Wing, and I'm like, let's just pretend this is real.
Yes. Let's go to the golden age.
Let's go to the golden age. Oh, who would you like to spill the tea with?
Oh, so while I do have, I wouldn't say I'm a political junkie by any means, but certainly I think it's important to follow what's happening in the news every day and knowing your surroundings and knowing what could affect you here at home.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you do, through that process, usually find leaders who resonate with you and who not only you agree with, but also you want to maybe emulate a certain leadership style.
Yeah.
And I will say, and I'm not somebody who worships any politician, regardless of party. I think they all are extremely flawed. I think they all have their issues. I've never been that person, but just from a personality perspective and a work ethic perspective and their history, I would love to sit down with Barack and Michelle Obama.
Oh my gosh, what a dream. Yeah.
Because she has her podcast
Yeah,
now.
I mean, when Amy Poehler had her on Good Hang, which was so amazing. I love Good Hang.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my, I would love to spill tea with him, but I think I would just be mute the entire. I would have to like. It would take me weeks to prepare for something like that. Yeah.
I mean, and I would be so paranoid about like what questions.
Yeah.
I would be on ChatGPT like every 5 seconds, like what? I'm interviewing Barack and Michelle Obama. What question should I ask
them? What should I not ask them?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, but I mean,
but
just
that would be amazing.
Yeah, and I think some of it is because his role before he got into politics was community organizer.
Yeah.
And that's such going back to that scrappy, self-made, very grassroots, gritty concept of how you get where you are, right? It's like hearing about Senator Rockefeller starting out as a Vista.
Yes.
I understand he comes from a much different background. My point is, you start out as sort of AmeriCorps Vista and you end up becoming a senator. That's sort of a different story, but certainly with the Obama story and his journey, I would just love to hear more about like what made you take that path. We know what motivated him to start community organizing, but what about that made you realize that you knew that you had that influence that lived inside you to take it to the next level and one day become president of the United States, right?
Yes.
So regardless of your politics, I don't even want to talk to them about politics. I want to talk about life with them. I just couldn't imagine how fascinating that'd be.
That would be so incredibly fascinating. Yeah. They're such but I mean, both of them collectively equally are such fascinating.
Both, yes, of course.
Oh my gosh. Crazy. All right. Now we come to my least favorite part of the show.
Okay.
We're passing the cup.
Okay.
So you have to ask me a question. I say have to. You don't have to, but you can ask me a question.
Yeah.
I don't know what the question is, so it can be anything off the cuff.
Yeah. So we've known each other now, 15 years?
I've been in Charleston for, it'll be 16 years in July, so probably 15, because I got involved pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly, that's right. Because you started the Charming Charleston thing.
Yep.
You ingrained yourself so quickly, which I was so impressed with.
Well, I mean, I moved here knowing literally only Ben.
Right.
And I was like, I got to make some friends. As we talked about, like nurturing those relationships, I got to find friends. I'm going to find a network. I love to volunteer. I'm going to find somewhere to but thank you. I mean, and that was work too, is like really researching, figuring out where you're going to make a difference.
Well, and I won't be too long on this, but I do remember, because of course we had so many partnerships with 102 at the time, and that's when you came on. Yeah. And we had passed each other. You were coming into your Charming Charleston. It was back when you had your segment.
Yeah.
And you were walking in while I was, and I had heard you on the radio a few times. You were walking out while I was coming in for my interview.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, "Oh, is that Morgan?" Like I remember, like she's great. And and then of course we became friends shortly after that. And it's been 15 years, which is hard to believe.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
But you've always sort of been in somewhat like a similar line of work, whether it was with your time at the Clay Center, whether with 102, marketing, communications, advertising. Obviously, you've done an incredible job.
Oh, thank you.
And now with this, which I love.
It's so fun.
But I think my question to you is like, why? We know what you're good at. We know what your talent is. There's no doubt about that. Yes.
Yapping.
But you know how to tell stories. You know how to create a narrative. You work with so many nonprofits in the area. What is it when you wake up? Why? Like, what is your motivation? When did you realize what your motivation was, and what is it? I'm just really interested to know, especially when it comes to people in marketing. I'm always interested to know why they chose that path.
I mean, I can't speak for people in marketing because I don't consider myself a marketer, I guess. Like I'm a storyteller.
Sure.
And I think storytelling makes for good marketing. My motivation has changed since I was younger. When I was younger, I really wanted to make an impact. I wanted people to remember me. I wanted them to, feel like I gave something back. That still stands, but I want people I want to know that people feel good in my presence. Whether that's I'm working for them, I'm working with them, I'm their friend, I'm their neighbor. My motivation when I wake up in the morning is to do something to make someone feel seen, to make someone feel heard, to make someone feel successful and safe. And I think that happens in my work and in my personal life. So when I wake up, I think, what can I do that's in the best interest of my clients? What is important to them right now that I can highlight or that I can help to tell that story? What can I take off of their plate that's going to make their day easier? That's my very first thought in the morning. And I sit down and make a to-do list. I go through every client and say, like, here's what their priority is right now. Here's what I need to do. And sometimes that's like my goal for the week or the month. And sometimes it's just for that day. But their satisfaction and success motivates me. On the personal side, I wake up and think, let me go through my network in my head. Who's going through what? Who has what today? Who do I need to check in on? Or who haven't I heard from for a minute? And it goes back to that clarity and intention. Like I try to be very clear in focusing my energy on what's going to make a positive difference. And so whether that's for my clients, for my family, for my friends, how am I making that difference on a daily basis? And so like this morning when I woke up, I thought, okay, one of my friends, her daughter's having a procedure today. I need to text and check in and make sure they're okay. One of my clients, crossover day was yesterday in the legislature, and I need to check in and make sure that their bills are going okay. And so just that's what I have going through my head kind of constantly is how can I make your life easier, better, more fun, more interesting, more entertaining, or just take something off your plate.
Love that.
And I probably need to do that more for my husband because Ben, I mean, you all know Ben back there.
Yeah.
I feel like so many times I take for granted those closest relationships and I'll go through all the clients and the friends and things and Ben will be last on the list to say, how can I make his life better or easier or more interesting? That definitely happens every day. And that was one of my goals for this year is to be more focused on that partnership as well because, we're empty nesters, it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll even just ask him, what can I do to make your life better today? And he always says nothing, but I know there's something in there.
The check-ins are so important.
It
right?
really is.
It takes 5 minutes.
It takes 5 minutes.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
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 I'm a firm believer in check-ins.
I fully agree. When I just get a random text from someone and they say, I'm thinking about you, like, how's your day? Or I saw this and thought of you. That means so much to me.
Yeah, even
I
a text.
love that.
That's right.
Yeah, just a text. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just a text. Yeah.
Right. No, I love that.
So yeah, I guess. I mean, that was like a long-winded answer to just say, like, my purpose is serving other people.
Yeah, which we've talked about so many things over the years. We've never had that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in that depth, I guess at that level, we've never had that conversation. That's so interesting.
That's what Nancy, friends, asked me, like, what has been one of your best conversations so far? And I said, Chris Gossess, because we have been friends for a decade, but we never have that like deep, just like look each other in the eyes, have a conversation about the things that like really are foundationally important to you. And we've had tough conversations and we've had, really in-depth conversations, but just that undivided attention and time to give someone, I like recommend that for anybody. You don't have to do it on camera.
I was gonna say, no cameras are required.
Yeah.
Maybe it helps some people.
But just like scheduling a one-on-one time with the people that mean the most to you and coming with a list of questions so that way you're not just talking about surface things.
Right.
You're really diving into it. Selfishly, like that is what I love so much about this program. And I learn every single episode. I learn something. I love it so much.
I mean, I'm such an extrovert. You know that.
Yeah.
I'm such an extrovert.
Yeah.
I get my energy from people.
Same.
I know you're the same.
Oh, yeah.
And I also get my energy from really good conversations. Yes. Jen Wood would tell you.
Yes.
Every single time Jen Wood and I either run into each other or just in a space together, whether it's planned or not, we end up in these like hour-long heart-to-hearts. And those are so valuable for me.
Yes. Because you think about them for days afterwards.
Yeah, and it grounds you.
Afterwards.
Yes, it grounds you in a way that I think is really important. And it's interesting, we're having this conversation on camera, but I mean, same.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, like I said, like I got a text the other day, can I get a sanity check? Sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes like you don't even realize that you need that reassurance from someone that you trust. That you're like, oh, it's fine, I'm just going through the motions. But being able to like look someone in the eye or have someone undivided on the phone and say like, is this the right decision? Like, what would you do? Or what can you tell me? And those are conversations that you have to schedule.
That's right.
It's very hard to have those just off the cuff. You have to make the time for
Especially
it.
at this phase in life.
Yes.
Right? We're the
yes.
busiest probably we've ever been at this
Yes.
phase in life,
Yeah.
which is great.
And I was talking to James about that, James Yost about that at my house a couple weeks ago, and he's like, your 30s, and I'm like, I remember those days. But
Yeah.
I was like, you have a
Reminiscing on
child.
my 30s.
Yeah. I was like, you have a child that is moving from basketball to baseball, and you're becoming too important in your company, and she's becoming too important. We boss ass too hard. Now we've got roles and responsibilities.
Yeah.
Like, what are we thinking? And you have to like make and carve out that real important time.
Yes, and if I don't, my energy depletes.
Yeah.
I mean, and some people, they
They're
want the opposite.
Yeah.
If I don't do that, I get to a point where I don't even want to get up.
Oh, yes.
Not like a depression per se, but just like there's no motivation sometimes.
The
If
isolation.
I'm not feeding that,
Yep.
it can be really difficult.
Well, that's why I like hate January and February so
Same.
much. Because you're like forced to be in your
January- I
own
was
little igloo.
I was just talking about that with
my
somebody. January and
gosh,
February are so,
yes.
because again, going back to the holiday thing,
Yeah.
the holidays are so
You
great.
come off this high of seeing
You're
everybody that
celebrating,
you know and love.
culminating,
Yes.
doing all
Yes.
these important, this reflection. You get to party.
Yep.
You get time off work.
Yep.
You get to decorate. And then January and February come and it is -5 degrees outside. You cannot leave the house.
Nope.
It gets dark at 5.
Yes.
You can't be out. I can't be out feeding the energy I need with other people
Nope.
usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough.
I'm glad it's March.
Yeah. I'm a little succubus. I agree. I'm like, give me all your energy.
Yeah.
Energy vampire.
Same.
So our last slice today, I feel like I need like glasses here, is a quick one actually. So our last sip. When we learn how to become resilient, we learn how to embrace the beautifully broad spectrum of human experience.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that was pretty appropriate.
How to encapsulate
for
this
you.
whole conversation
Yeah.
with that. Wow. Okay.
I likes to try. I
Okay,
likes to
Morgan.
That's it for today. Rick, thank you so much for sharing
So
this
great.
time. It
Yes.
was so great. It's
Always
so,
great.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
Yeah.
You can check out more about Charleston Urban Works online. I'll have the links up on our social media and in the show description. And we are so thankful for all the work that Rick does, both for our students, our educators, our community members, and those scrappy small business
right.
owners. So very excited to hear more about that. We will see you next week on Tuesday morning with another episode. You can join us there. And until then, keep your tea sweet and your outlook sweeter.